Hey everybody, my name is Sharon Quinn and I'm also known as the original runway diva, and you are watching Model Behavior. Class is officially in session. Today, in part 2 of this very special episode, celebrity makeup artist, Emmy Award winner Reggie Wells returns as my guest lecturer to talk more about his astounding 4 decades in the entertainment industry. Welcome back, Reggie Wells, to Model Behavior.
I'm so glad to be back.
We ain't really leave the studio or nothing,
but you know that. Look, I come back even if I don't leave the studio. I don't know where I am sometimes, but I just want to say that in 4 decades of makeup that I was wearing, I forgot that. And I saw things change right in front of me.
Like what?
I mean, people are copying each other. They're not inventing. They're not creating. They're copying. I'm so mad at artists, and I would feel bad if Leonardo da Vinci or Raphael or Rembrandt came back. They would be upset because these guys created things out of nothing.
But don't you think that part of the reason why creativity is lacking, and this is just me, I'm just guessing, is, I don't know, because there's so many people now, maybe the ideas have run out.
I think the idea of creativity has run out.
How do you mean?
I'm meaning that people used to set and think of things and create things and happen. Now they see something that they like and they copy it. They don't stretch the imagination well enough. That's why QVC in home shopping makes so much money, because the artists who go out there. I was on QVC. I took a product on there, and in 8 minutes I sold 5,000 units because it was different, and that's why the turnover on those 2 networks are so vast. You know, you'll see a chicken in all kinds of ways. You'll see a chair that can bend in all kinds of ways. So you take that one item and you keep inventing and inventing. What I like about the industry, thank God, because of makeup artists like me and a few others like Roxana and Sam Fine and all that generation we came up with. We were the first people that infiltrate. Because when I came to New York, there was Joey Mills, Sandra Littner, you had and Way Bandy, and there was a couple other. We had, as I say, Bruce Hawkins, and a lot of people in that industry are even dead or gone and move on. Our innovators, people who made a difference with editorial covers of magazine. Look at Scavullo. Scavullo was around, and he reminded me of the great artists of before, because Scavullo never changed his light. He didn't try to create a lighting. He measured the lighting, and no matter whether you were white or black, he would come down, everything's hooked up, and we'd press one button. And I said, Mr. Scavullo, why do you just push one button? He said, because when it's right, it's always right. And why should I judge it? Change it. Isn't that something?
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
And hundreds of thousands of covers he's done. He's right.
Well, now you talk a lot about lighting. Now, how did you learn about lighting, or is that another gift that you had?
I think I came to New York, and here's what happened. I came to New York, and we shot black women. And they looked like a raisin and a rice patty. It was that dark and that white around it, because they didn't know that the concentration of melanin in our skin can even change. I remember Beyonce said something in an interview, and it was the same quote I taught her when she was 15 years old. In her documentary,
look for
it. What is that blue light on for? Why do y'all have all these blue lights on? Don't you realize that blue light does not work with black skin? And you know who told her that? Okay, because she was on stage with blue light, and I said, Mary, because I call her Mary, don't put blue lights. Don't let them put blue lights on you.
So what do you see when there's a blue light?
What you do is you're casting Millen in the skin doesn't work with blue on them. Even your golden skin will be cast different. Now, if you got to show where the face is not important, but don't bring Diane Carroll out, and Diane Carroll ain't going under no blue light.
I know that's right. And let's stay right here with Diane Carroll.
Oh,
but let me just say that you have just confirmed for me. I've always had issues with red lipsticks that have blue undertones.
That's it.
I've never liked them. I felt they never looked good on me.
And they don't look good on black women. Blue tones under red looks good on whiter skin or brighter skin, lighter skin. We have that undertone should be just a little orange in there for us with that red. I used to mix Susan Taylor's, it was Susan and Melba Moore. Always loved red with orange tones underneath.
Me too.
It, with a little gold in that cast. And that's what, but that brings me back to Diane Carroll.
Yes.
Because Diane Carroll has been the thing I went to New York for.
Why?
And so, motivation of that, because I used to watch her on television. And for the first time, Cecily Tyson were doing little roles in different scripts and part, but she was a dark woman. And so they didn't light her correctly either. And so we looked at those things. But when Diane Carroll took her show upon television, you could tell that the lighting was something, because the skin tone was right. It didn't look too bright. It didn't look too dark. It was stone right. So I watched her, and I watched her makeup, and I did things like that. So in my book, I said at the end, when I saw Miss Carroll, at the end I said, I'm going to New York, which I said in my head, and make every black woman as beautiful and sophisticated and as regal.
Yes.
Listen to the word, people.
Yes.
Regal as Diane Carroll. And I remember I said, Miss Carroll, when I first walked in there, Miss Carroll was 1971, Hollywood Palace. It was 7:30 at night, and you came out and you sang. You had your hair in the clusters. It was all bouffant and clusters, and you had an empire dress on. But what struck me about the way you did it was, because I love the way you express your emotions, and you walked down the stairway, and I remember the winding stairway. Another thing I taught to Beyonce and Destiny's Child. She said, you'll sleep and you'll rise in the light of two eyes that adore you. And you put your foot out of that gown, and it was barefoot. You had no shoes on. And you tipped down that stairway, and you moved with such elegance, and you were doing it with a real gown and bare feet. And what I loved about it is, and I asked her that question, and I said, and it made me think about, how did you operate that? She said, my darling, I told the director, I am not about to go down that winding stairway with shoes. I'm going to do it with no shoes. And I said, well, that was it. And so I told Beyonce and them, I said, when you walk down that stairway in Destiny's Child, I want all of you to take off your shoes. Because, my darling, you're not going to go there. And we've seen Beyonce fall several times with high heels and dancing and singing. That's hard to do. And she always said it was hard to do.
But coming down steps is harder.
That's
I done pitched and fell down a couple.
So the whole point of me being in this business and noticing everything is why I noticed lighting. And so when we would go in studios like this and Oprah would be there, I would say to the guys in the back, and Oprah had a problem with it because she was very disturbed by it, I would say, we need a little more lighting. Could you put a gel over the top of the part of light? And because she was seeing all these Polaroids, she said, it's wrong. I said, I told you. And so now she came in and said, oh, my makeup artist, Reggie, he'll tell you what the lighting should look like. He's said, all right, now you learn that. And I learned, this is what I learned about the divas, the regal people. You get to know what you. Let me tell you something about Iman. We were on a shoot one time for Avon, and the first time I ever worked with Iman was with Essence. I knew she was a diva, but she was a smart diva. The photographer said, "Look over here, look over here." He said, "Iman," I said, "Look over there." She said, "Lights over here." And that's what I learned, that don't let anybody take that from you. She knew lighting, and she followed it, no matter where. He said, "Over here, over here." And she put it right where she knew it would work, all the time. I've never seen that majesty so well done. It was, and she had it, and she knew just how to do it.
So that sounds like a real a good tip to give to an aspiring model.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I say that too. That's what any performer always know where your light is.
Yeah.
So you're never in the dark.
And you're never in the dark, and never feel uncomfortable, especially if you're learning, because most photographers will shoot you with either no interest or interest. Okay, yeah.
You'll get 45 of the same shot.
Yeah, that's what you're, especially now because they're all computerized anyway. But you have to be smart about your look. And lighting was important to me because I always was there. I learned from Tony Barboza, Hank Lunder. I walked in the studio with Scavullo, and I watched these people. I've got to work with some of the Patrick DeMarcia.
Did you ever get to work with Kevin Aquan?
Yeah.
Boy, that was on my to-do list
Kevin
too.
Aquan was standing next to me on Udemy, the makeup artist, right?
Yeah.
Oh, he was brilliant. He stood right in department stores like I did, though. And he was in that Rush After Way and all of them. But he was an artist, too. And so that's what he achieved. He did a few black people that he did quite well. But Barbara Streisand loved him. I mean, she wouldn't go nowhere without him. And Liza Minnelli.
Yeah, I got turned on to his work early, and I got both of his books. And the stuff just the way he could transform people.
Well, how about me sitting on the stage with Kevin O'Connor, this one and that one, and me and Oprah on the Oprah show. She brought him there for 3 books. And he even did a makeover on her as Diana Ross, because he was the introducer. But Kevin O'Connor and people, that's what I'm trying to get you to see and what the people need to do. If you have somebody who's a true artist to work on you, you know, I mean, what's the name would stand over face for 2 to 3 hours, Sam Fine.
Oh man, that's another face beater right there.
But he would give all the time. He would treat it just like it was a master painting. And what I did is I came in. My gift was that I could warm up black skin. I knew how to get black skin because the artistry I had in me. So when it wasn't there, because it wasn't always there, I mixed it and I matched it. I have the white cover of Iman on Essence, where she's draped, and we just draped this white fabric around her. And it's the first time I did that gold lip that was nothing there, but it wasn't gold lipstick out, it was eyeshadow. And I put eyeshadow all through here, and all this was eyeshadow, because we didn't have the colors then. So color is color is color, and no matter what the pigment, now they understand it, we can use it anywhere, and you can do anything you want with it. You know?
So, okay, so the natural progression, you got a makeup line coming out, Reggie?
I had a Hitsy Fit line. It's called Hitsy Fit.
Yeah, but you need another one.
Oh yeah, we're working on it.
Because you can't keep that knowledge to yourself.
Well, with Faceology, we're teaching a whole new way to paint, and I was amazed at all the newcomers and students that were in my class. So now I hold lab classes. I do classes that are labs, that you have to fill out the formulas. And I put you in front of a mirror with all your utensils and all the things you need. And then I play, either I'll play a song, or I'll give you a written formula, or I'll do that, and I said, fill that formula. That means you're lost. Either you get lost in the stars or you get lost in the moment. But you should see what creativity comes out of that, because now you're not copying.
Right.
You know?
Right. So now, is this class
Yeah, you could. They're going on now. They're going on now. We go around the country and do some of them. I'm going to have one in the spring in a couple places. So they've been notified on.
Because I always tell models,
Facebook.
if you don't learn nothing else, learn how to do your makeup.
Look, that's why Miss Wilhelmina fell in love with me, because she saw some girls. She was famous for giving me the girls, and when she gave me the girls, I would come back with a beautiful shot of them. You know, and she puffed a cigarette at me one day, and she said, "Can you work on this one?" I said, "Let me have a smoke first." But what I loved about her, and she was different from, you know, the other agent. From the other agent, Eileen was different. Then you had a couple others that were different, but they were women who were running the business. So what they did, now you got an agency everywhere, in a cubby hole, in a corner, somebody off a milk truck. You got them, they're agents. That don't mean they know what they're doing, but they'll rep you if they can make $300. So you have to be careful as to who you pick too.
Say that again, please.
You have to be careful who you're going to pick for your agent, because if you don't, it's going to stop you. I remember there was an agency called Beauty Bookings. That's how I first started.
I remember that agent. I remember that name.
The first one she had first. And I was the little black boy
Excuse me.
who sat in the corner. Who sat in the corner. Yeah. You have to be really careful, because as a little guy who came to New York, I had to sit there and wait for a booking. I would sit there. I was almost like...
In the agency?
Yeah. And it's back in the early days, and they didn't believe in me. I didn't know what to do. So I was the guy who would sit in the agency when they would call for somebody, and they would say, "Oh, you need one now?" "Yeah." "How many people is it?" "Yeah." "Reggie got one. You got one over there?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." I was the boy who took the ones who got sick or ones who couldn't make it, or you want to back up with somebody. So that helped me out a lot, because I was building a book then. But I then got really good people, because as soon as your book gets good,
Yeah.
you get good agents, you know. Albert Watson's wife was a good agent, and she would give you good work as long as you could prove it. So my artistry came in because I didn't do what other people were doing. I reinvented what was done, because if I wiped somewhere or used something, I could warm the skin up. And you got to remember, outside is not the same as inside, and inside is not the same as the bathroom. And the bathroom's not the same, because some of y'all come out with bathroom makeup in the yellow light, then you come out there with that fluorescent kitchen light where you've been cooking in, and then all of a sudden the color looks different when you're somewhere, or you go somewhere and the color melts. So I had to teach lighting. I had to teach it's the way you do it. I did Sister Sledge one day, the whole group. You remember Sister Sledge? We are family. Well, not quite. But this is what you had to remember. You had to remember that when you have that many girls to do, somebody's going to melt before the other person gets finished. So I had to invent where you touch everybody at the same time. So I did makeup like that.
So you had them in a row?
In a row. So you do the foundation, everybody gets foundation, everybody gets slapped with this. And I found by doing this that the makeup, first of all, lasts longer. And I was warming the skin without noticing, because we had to send them outside, because the video was done outside. And that's when I first discovered that makeup outside doesn't call for as much as I did in the yellow light.
In natural light, you have to do less.
Natural light is going to stick out like a sore thumb, so you do less. You're just bound to do less, because if you don't, it's going to change the coloring anyway. And that's what was so brilliant. If you look back at the Oprah covers, she was always golden. I don't know what color she's today, because it seems like they're getting lighter. And I don't know whether it's that the makeup or the way it was printed or the way it's light. But I warmed her, and she was always golden or caramel. And that's what you are. You caramel.
Yes, caramel is my street.
That's right.
All day.
Yeah, and that's what you should be. Caramel, a little sugar on top with a little whipped cream. Little whipped cream. I remember working with Diane Carroll, and she taught me so much. But the first thing she did is told me to lay out my palette. And this is where you know how to be humble and have to learn how to be humble, because she's before me. So she said, "My darling, Darling, and this is part of the book, so I'm going to say this, say it not in detail. She said, lots of chocolates and caramels, and what have all these caramels and chocolate for? She said, I see a little bronze. It's bronze, deep bronzes. And what she was teaching me was, you got my skin color wrong. That's what that was. I was trying. What are all these chocolates? And she made Dutch chocolate. Look at the way she did it, because she was telling me, put that away. You haven't read me right. I'm caramel.
All right, Miss Carol.
Not cocoa. And what I learned from her was so tremendous that day. I learned old school, and it's a way that she said, and I started with the caramel, and she said, give me that over here. Let me show you what I use. She pushed the chocolate. She brought out beiges. She brought out pinks. And she took those fingers, and she did this, and she did this, and I watched her. And I still adore. I can show you old film of her that is so brilliant. She just, and she put that, she said, and then she said, now carve my eye. And I went in there and I carved it. She said, now put a knife on it and bring it back through here. Because she was theater, she was movie, and she was television.
Yeah.
Who should I ignore, right? Who should I? And so I understood what that meant. And the thing that I did that day is part of her series where you see her interview. I don't know if you've seen them on YouTube.
No, but I will go look.
And she's very soft and very, very, not caramel, not quite, more peach. But I learned a lesson that I'll never forget. And if makeup artists would say, instead of coming in like a diva and creating an Atlanta brow, when an Atlanta brow is not needed for that eye socket bone. Faceology, which is not
I just need to know what an Atlanta brow is.
Get on a plane, and the first thing out of your mouth is going to say, are you from Atlanta? Mm-hmm.
That is so
And I used to be so good at it. Oh, you're from Los Angeles. Because what environments do, it's even New York. There's a New York way of looking. There's an Atlanta way of looking. And that's how we have migrated into these separate unions. But back to Diane Carroll, I also learned that if you listen, you can learn a lot from old school, new school, and been to 4 decades of makeup, I've watched it change.
But, well, that brings up 2 questions for me. Mm-hmm. Has it, in your opinion, has it changed for the better? Or, and I know that you were disappointed at the lack of creativity, or do you think it's gotten worse?
Well, that's why I'm here. And that's what my purpose is now. Reggie, do you work with celebrities anymore? I've taught a lot of them. And that's why they knew it. Makeup, Beyonce didn't know makeup. Whitney Houston didn't know makeup. I mean, Vanessa Williams didn't know makeup. So before people like Sam and Roxanne, I had to open that door. I have 85 covers of the Essence magazine.
Let's talk about the 85, because at the last count that I had, it was more than 100 plus.
No, it wasn't 100, no.
82?
It's about 82.
That's a lot.
Because they valued what I was doing, and they didn't. And it's 100 and, I think it's 138 O magazine covers. How many?
She got 142 here. How many years was that? Because O magazine, I remember when that launched.
Yeah, but I was with Oprah though. I started in the 80s, way before the O magazine.
So did you do those first?
I did the first magazine.
So you did the first?
The first issue. It's me, and all the way up to, I think it's 130 something. Yeah.
Wow. Mm-hmm. So you did all of the covers.
So imagine what I had to go through. I had to make it look different for the covers, for the show and for all those outings. So if you remember, Gwen, you saw her go glamorous and more glamorous. Every time you saw her at the Oscars, I had to think different. I remember that green emerald dress she wore at the Oscars, and I had to fight for what kind of eye I wanted. And I went out there and I mixed bronze and greens together just so I could surround that eye. And I surrounded that eye, and it looked so close to that dress that I was inventing all the time and inventing things. And I didn't even know, because I would refuse to make it look the same. Then I would have clean makeup, and Oprah had a thing where she said, okay, I want that in the face look. In many words, I'm going to be on somebody in a meeting. I mean, I just want this to look like translucent skin, and I want this and just put this on and make it work. So a makeup artist thing is that you have to know how to go and stop making everything look the same every time you're available.
All right, we're going to stop right there. And on that note, you guys know you hear the music. We are all out of time. Once again, I'd like to thank my guest, Reggie Wells, for sharing his industry knowledge with us today. But hold on, we're going to be back with a third episode, because we can't cover 4 decades in 2 episodes. So before I go, I want to leave you with a few thoughts. As always, I want you to remember that you can't change the game until you first learn the game. Always surround yourself with positive people and positive things. Do what you love and love what you do. Be who you are, but be who you are tastefully. Always have some class about yourself. Now don't forget to like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. Now you can view the previous episodes on our YouTube channel. Just Google Model Behavior with Sharon Quinn. All of the previous episodes will come up. Thanks for watching Model Behavior, and I'll see you next week with episode 3 with Reggie Wells. Class is officially dismissed, y'all. Bye.